Hello there.
Hey guys, what to watch for Wednesday in the NBA? A lot of games on. Let's start talking about them straight away. The first one, the Jeremy Lamb Bowl, the Hornets and the Pacers. Let's watch LaMelo Ball, who's been a little bit up and down, had that really massive stretch a couple of weeks ago, and minutes are being pulled back a little bit unfairly, I think, to me, in terms of how he's playing, in terms of his development, but I'm, of course, not the coach. But let's watch to see how much he plays and how he looks when he's out there. And I also want to watch Gordon Hayward, because Hayward has been rolling. I had him on the Sell High podcast earlier today. He is the number 10 ranked player over the last week. He's shooting 50+% from three. And he's absolutely killing it on this team. So let's see how he goes and whether he can keep that up. For the Pacers, let's pay attention to Jeremy Lamb, who's shooting at a very, very high rate. I think like 95% from the free throw line, over 50% from the field as well. Is that able to continue? He's going in these little bursts where he goes in and gets either a ton of free throw attempts or hits a ton of shots all in one little go. So let's see how he looks. While Timothy John McConnell, just can he get the standard McConnell, which is 6 assists and 2 steals? It seems like he gets it every game. He's going to play a relatively large role, I would imagine. Off the bench with those 20 minutes or so. And he's going to come out and be a useful enough streaming option. Next up, the Pistons and the Cavs, the Brandon Knight Bowl. Delon Wright, really good game last time for the Pistons. Shot the ball amazingly. Usage was high. Minutes were through the roof. Blake Griffin's out again, so he's going to get more shot attempts. But Derrick Rose is likely to return. So how does the Rose and Wright mix work? How much does Delon play? How much does he get in terms of shot attempts? Because those two recent big games from Delon did both come with Derrick Rose out, 36 minutes apiece, and then he played 28, 23, 21, the three prior to that. As for Blake Griffin, he is out, so who's going to be the replacement? It's probably going to be Sadiq Bey, but he hasn't gotten over 20 minutes in 6 consecutive games, and I don't think he's really going to be someone to pay too much attention to. It looks like for the Cavs that Darius Garland is going to be off his minutes restriction, so he should be starting. What does this mean for Chetty Osman? But what does it mean more importantly for Garland, who's been struggling a little bit since he returned from shoulder injury? Let's see how he goes. And then Osman, we want to see. He played 32 minutes last game, but if Garland's playing 36, can Osman get to 30? What does that mean for Dotson? What does that mean for Prince? What does it mean for Allen and Drummond? And how, if they work at all together? A lot of questions still with the Cavs that I have. Sorry for sounding like Yoda there. Next up is the Hedo Turkoglu Bowl, the Kings and the Magic. Marvin Bagley, someone I want to watch whose minutes have been pushing up a little bit, but I'm not trusting it long term. I think he gets a little bit of the benefit of the doubt when it comes to garbage time, and he gets chucked in there and can put up okay double-double type numbers, but overall, I wouldn't say he's a must-roster 12-team league guy. Well, Buddy Hield has been shooting pretty poorly all season. What can Hield do? Because if he doesn't shoot well, I'm not really sure what else he's doing, and he does require those percentages to be pretty high. For the Magic, Cole Anthony's been playing at a very high level of late. Can that trajectory continue? Can the ascendancy keep going for Cole? And he was really good in terms of efficiency last game. Let's see if he can continue to take his shots and have wiser shot selection than he had earlier on. But it does look like he's figuring it out as a starting point guard. And then Aaron Gordon, who's getting a ton of assists. I would say that the starting point forward role, I think that's what we're going to call him, is real. And I don't really think that it's going away anytime soon here for Aaron Gordon in the for the Orlando Magic. Next up, it's the Gravis Vasquez Bowl, the general, the Bucks and the Raptors. Giannis's free throw percentage is horrendous this season. It's getting worse somehow. And we saw those hopes in preseason. We go, maybe he's going to be 72, 73. He just keeps getting worse every single year. So can he get anything figured out there? He's in his head. He gets 10-second violations. It's all over the shop. And I want to pay a little bit more attention to Chris Middleton. He's just having a great year once again. Efficiency has been strong most of the year. I think it was a little bit off last game, but getting assists, just doing what he does and trying to figure out where he can be for the rest of the year. For the Raptors, Norman Powell has been playing well as a starter. Will they continue to go with him as a starter? We don't know at this point whether Pascal Siakam is going to play, but there could be an opportunity there for Powell if Siakam is out. And then the wiki Chris Boucher, who started the second half of the last game, played his 30 minutes, but prior to that had played under 24 minutes for 3 consecutive games. So we want to see how much he's out there against a big-ass Brook Lopez who's going to be manning the center spot for the Bucks. The next game is the Juwan Howard Bowl, the Nuggets and the Heats. Michael Porter looks like he's going to come off the bench because the Dr. Michael Malone is not a very good coach, but it doesn't really matter too much whether he comes off the bench or whether he starts, as long as he plays those 30 minutes and Barton plays 24. Porter was great on Monday with some big numbers. He's been great pretty much all season. He's shooting like 45% from three, and I think he's like 42% three-point shooter in his entire career. Some really good stuff so far from Michael Porter. I want to see how he looks in this one, of course, and whether he's coming off the bench or not. JaMychal Green. I've had a few people mentioning to me about JaMychal Green, whether he's a 12-team league ad. I don't believe he is, but Paul Millsap's been pretty poor. Green is pushing up to be at least a 16-team league guy. Maybe he can become a 14-team league player, but let's watch how much they use him. And then for the Miami Heat, we've seen Kendrick Nunn play an absolute ton, and I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but he's been playing an absolute ton of late. But we don't know whether we're going to get Avery Bradley, who's questionable, or Tyler Hero, who's questionable, returning, and that's going to have an impact. Jimmy Butler is out again, but if Hero's back and if Bradley is back in some capacity, I think it's going to have some sort of an impact on the playing time for Kendrick Nunn, who's been playing like 35 minutes a night. And I don't think that's a realistic expectation for him as we move forward. Bam Adebayo, shooting well. You're taking long twos, elbow twos. Free throws are way up as well. And that's massive for his value. So let's watch Bam again without Jimmy Butler, how much he's facilitating this offense and what else he can bring to the table. Next game we look at is the Nets and the Hawks, the Joe Johnson Bowl. Let's watch Jimmy Harden, who took over at the end of the Nets last game. Will he be more aggressive offensively? Will he continue to be passive and be a pass-first point guard? That's always a key focus. And DeAndre Jordan, this boy can't even get to 30 minutes, and he's the only center on this roster. So if he's getting 22, 23 minutes again in this one, it's going to be hard to justify him as a must-roster 12-team league player. For the Hawks, DeAndre Hunter, we know he's been great. I still think some of his percentages are too high. Let's see how he looks. It is a back-to-back for the Hawks. And then John Collins. We always want to watch John Collins, how he goes with Gallinari ramping up to speed. Now, I'm not even sure Gallinari plays because it is a back-to-back. So maybe the Italian cock isn't here for this one.
Hands off my cock!
But let's watch Collins. Let's see how he fits next to Capella in this matchup. Next up, the Wilt Chamberlain Bowl. The Lakers and the Sixers. LeBron turned in an absolutely vintage performance last time out. But his numbers have been a little bit down this season. Which LeBron are we going to get? Hopefully we get the guy that just puts his foot all the way down. And this should be a really good matchup. Well, Dennis Schroeder, I believe, is a 10-team league drop and probably is a 12-team league drop as well in most cases. Can he do anything good? The good games are few and far between for Schroeder. So I wouldn't be getting too interested in him as a 12-teamer. While for the Sixers, Shake Milton. Milton has been poor the last couple of games. He is a drop, but let's watch to see if anything changes there. And then we have a look at Seth Curry, who is dealing with apparently ankle soreness. I think he's going to play, but let's see how he looks. Can he get back to some of that early season form? He's been a little bit off since he returned, but still putting up some pretty good numbers. Next up is the Aaron Baines Bowl, the Celtics and the Spurs. Jaylen Brown, I really want to watch how he's used in this offense. What is his usage? How much is he handling the ball? Because he's going to play for the first time this season alongside Jason Tatum and Kemba Walker. So that high 30s usage going to maintain? Or will he be like 28, 29, or 30? How is that going to be distributed? It is key. And Daniel Tice is the best big man at the moment on this Celtics team. But how do they use him? Do they start Tristan Thompson and play Tomo 20 minutes and then have Tice 27 minutes? Do they run double center lineups again to get Robert Williams into the mix? How much is Tice actually going to play? For the Spurs, I want to watch DeJounte Murray, who can't still get things going massively offensively, has some struggles. But we know what he does defensively. He's putting up some pretty good counting stats. So let's have a look at him. And then we want to see the Dustman, LaMarcus Aldridge, who has been shithouse for most of this season. But yeah, occasional glimpses of decent production. And we want to see that just happen more often. So can we see it happen in this game against a team that is obviously really good? Next up, it is the Thunder and the Suns, the Abdul Nadir Bowl. Isaiah Roby. Now, Al Horford is questionable, so Horford could be returning. So we want to see what Roby does if Horford is out. We want to see where Roby fits if Horford returns. It's going to be key to watch. I do believe he will be starting for this team, say, in April or May this year, whether that's through a Horford injury, a fake injury, a trade, whatever it is. I can see Roby being a starter, but let's see how he goes. And then we go to Luguentz Dort.
No, my son is also named Bort.
He's real hit or miss to me. I think he's not a must-roster 12-teamer. He's a guy you can have when you're looking for some steals and threes, but he's so up and down with his production, it's hard to have him as a must-roster. For the Suns, there is no Devin Booker. DeAndre Ayton has been massive the last two games, shooting like 78 true shooting, which is obviously bumping his rankings all the way up. What can he do? Can he continue to remain aggressive offensively? And then Cam Johnson's going to have extra opportunity for some more shots. I imagine they start Jay Crowder in place of Devin Booker again, with Johnson remaining in that lineup. But can he give us like 16 points and 4 or 5 threes? That's what we want from him, and that's how he can be useful. Next up is the Mavericks and the Jazz, the Jay Crowder Bowl. Timmy Hardaway, who's getting a lot of minutes, getting touches, but I wouldn't say he's producing the greatest fantasy value. And then we could be getting a bunch of players returning for the Mavericks. It looks like majority of their COVID absences, Dorian Finney-Smith, Josh Richardson, and Dwight Powell will be returning. Not Maxi Kleber, he's still out for a few more. So we're going to get Finney-Smith, Richardson, and Powell returning, who are all probably on some sort of minutes limit. But what does that do for their playing time? What does it do for Brunson and Burke and Cauley Stein and Hardaway? And what sort of cascade effect does the return of those players have on this lineup and on this rotation? The next game is the Wizards and the Pelicans. This is the Markieff Morris Bowl. The Wizards on a back-to-back, so we're assuming that Westbrook is out. I'm recording this about halfway through the game against the Rockets. Doesn't look great. He's still dealing with that quad issue, apparently, but I don't know. Maybe it's not the quad. Maybe he's not good anymore. I'm not convinced that he's good anymore. And I know the Westbrook fans will come at me for that. And he's still recovering from the quad. He's not going to play, so what does that mean? Is Hal Neto in there as the starter? Now, Neto's on a minutes restriction of his own. Well, who's going to play point guard? Isaac Bonga? Jerome Robinson? There's some real issues there. Now, Robinson's one I want to watch. I also want to watch Anthony Gill, who started Wednesday's game, but Robinson could see a larger role with Westbrook out. For the Pelicans, rumors about Lonzo Ball being traded, so how does he respond to that? He's been a little bit subpar, and by a little bit, I mean a lot. Hasn't been good at all. The ball's not in his hands as much. Assist numbers have dropped down, and that's not great for his fantasy value. While Steven Adams had a nice little run a few weeks ago, he's been atrocious over the last week or so. He's not a drop, but bloody hell, he is real close, and he does not have top 75 upside, in my opinion. Let's go on to the next game. It is the Amari Spellman Bowl, the Wolves and the Warriors. Anthony Edwards, he's getting shots, he's getting minutes, he's doing dunks, and everything else is terrible. The efficiency's bad, the defense is bad, the ball movement's bad, the fantasy value's bad. He's just bad at this point. This is not to preclude him from being a good player in the future. I don't think he's going to be particularly good in the future, but he very well could be. But I'm just judging on what we've seen so far. And I want to focus in to see if he can do anything that's marginal positive. Well, Jared Vanderbilt with one show and Towns out, we'll get another start. The biggest thing for him is hoping he stays out of foul trouble. He is an absolute top-notch stream guy for the short term and could remain a 12-team guy moving forward. For the Warriors, Blunty. Where are you now? James Wiseman coming off the bench again. Played some mop-up minutes in the last game in garbage time. There could be garbage time here again. But let's see how the rotation looks, say in the first half specifically, how much playing time he actually gets. Because that could be, push you over the edge as to if you want to drop him. I think he is a drop in a lot of cases, especially shallow leagues. 12-teamers, it would depend who you're moving on from, but I just don't see it for Wiseman for this season. And then Kelly Oubre had a good game against Minnesota, but it is Minnesota. Let's see if he can put 2 in a row together with some good shooting and some good across-the-board production. The last thing we want to look at is stream options. Isaiah Roby, assuming Al Horford's out. Garrison Matthews can be an option. Anthony Gill you could put into that mix as well. Same as Hal Neto. TJ McConnell is a good stream. Royce O'Neal for the Jazz. And Kevon Looney is someone that we can take. I don't know where Royce O'Neal came. Are the Jazz even playing tomorrow? They are. Hey, Royce O'Neal is a stream for tomorrow. And Kevon Looney is another option who is the starting center for the Golden State Warriors now, but obviously just a low-value streamer. And I just realized that the reason I didn't remember that the Jazz were playing is because I forgot to talk about what I'm watching for on the Jazz. So I'm watching Don Mitchell, who's shooting 50% from 3 at the moment, really rolling, big 2-point percentage, high rebound numbers. Let's see if he can keep that up. Well, let's watch Jordan Clarkson as well. What are the minutes like? Are they 24 or they're 29? Because they're very big differences in his overall fantasy value to see whether he can maintain that. So sorry, Jazz fans. They are the guys that I'm watching for you guys. That'll do it for me today. Don't forget to subscribe, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, but most importantly, because you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube, hit the bell, hit the thumbs up, leave a comment down below. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. See ya.